Weenie Envy. Simic Manipulator. Simic Manipulator came from Gate Crash when the new expansion from Return to Ravnica. It's actually one of the more interesting cards for a wizard. It's also a mutant wizard. It has the Evolve ability. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Where this comes into effect, you could play a bunch of creatures to pump this up, and then, well, it triggers whenever any creature comes into play, but it only gets the counter, any creature under your control. It only gets the counter if the creature has a higher power or toughness when this resolves. So if two creatures came into play, say with, gosh, what's a good one? Oh, say a Chasm Skulker gets killed and puts out 2 +1/+1 counter, where it puts out 2 squid tokens. This would trigger twice, but because the squid tokens are 1/1, it would get 1 counter from one of the squid tokens, and then when the next squid token comes into triggers, its power and toughness is too great, so it won't get an extra counter. So, to recap, creature comes into play. It has to have a greater power or greater toughness than Simic Manipulator by the time the effect resolves. You could, in fact, trigger and then pump up your creature, pump up one of your creatures to respond to this effect. That way the pump will remain, and then the resolution will put the +1/+1 counter on Simic Manipulator. But we're ignoring what Simic Manipulator does. Tap it and you can remove 1 or more +1/+1 counters from Simic Manipulator and gain control of target creature with power less than or equal to the number of +1/+1 counters removed this way. This is actually interesting because it you can actually tap it and remove 0 +1/+1 counters to gain control of a 0-powered creature. So you could put Agoraphobia on something, or you could use Reduce in Stature to turn something into a 0/2, or any number of blue abilities that reduce the power of a creature. And then tap, don't even remove anything, and just gain control of it. And the cool thing about this is, as we were talking about earlier, you can use Freed from the Real and Pemin's Aura. Sorry, I get excited. I've got too many card combinations running through my head. And untap it and just continuously gain control of things with 0 power. Use any effect that gives all of your opponent's creatures negative power, and you just keep gaining control of them. The other cool thing about this is it does not go away at the end of turn. And it also is, as an evolved creature, 0/1. It is vulnerable at first, but you could throw out an Ornithopter and this gets a 1 +1/+1 counter. Throw out a Phyrexian Walker, this gets a +1/+1 counter. The way it works, that it can remove its own counters too, you can always respond to a creature coming into play if you think you could remove a few counters to gain control of something, and then your creature will give an extra +1/+1 counter on this at the end of the resolution, because that's how that works. So, again, it's a very complicated card. It is a wizard. It works in Wizard Tribal. Very cool ability. I happen to have a foil one, that's why it's shining and shimmering the way that it does. And the other neat thing is, if I'm not mistaken, if you were to put Illusionist Bracers on this, I think it still triggers with the copy according to the amount of counters that you removed. So you could remove 2 +1/+1 counters and gain control of 2 creatures that had power 2 or less. Just throwing that out there. So, interesting card, Simic Manipulator. Again, the evolved mechanic is whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Simic Manipulator. You should always be able to respond by reducing its power and toughness. And that's how that works. So, Simic Manipulator, terrific card for any mono blue or any good combo deck that can benefit from gaining control of your opponent's creatures. It's like a miniature Yasova Dragonclaw. But it works continuously. It doesn't end at end of turn or end of combat, or however. I need to look at that card again. But it's a really good card. Check it out, try it out. I don't think they're that expensive. A foil one might be. I got this from opening a pack, and it's a good card. So, Simic Manipulator, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed me tripping all over myself trying to pronounce words. And I hope you're having a great morning, great afternoon, a great evening. Hope tomorrow's even better. Take care, everybody.